The doctor is back in for another edition of the Alvin Parker Coaches Show. I'm Sean Roberts, and thank you for joining us on the many social media platforms for Virginia Union Athletics. We got a great show for you this Thursday night. We got the coach, as always, in the house. And we got a very special guest that's coming in the, quote, Hall of Fame Lounge, not the Players Lounge today. We'll talk more about that in just a few minutes. But right now, as always, we got Dr. Alvin Parker here in studio talking about the game last Saturday. And we want to make a correction. We said last week it started conference play against Johnson C. Smith. That's a little misnomer. Conference play starts this Saturday. First home game against Shaw. We'll talk about that in our last segment. But the game against Johnson C. Smith, you told us and you told a lot of people, hey, this is not your old Johnson C. Smith team. And looking at the game and looking at the stats, this is a completely different team down in Charlotte.
Oh yeah, it's a bunch of completely different teams. I'm in the league. But it's a lot of the same coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody stepped their level up, stepped their game up, and I'm happy to see it. It's a great thing for our league. So a lot of us are comrades, and we battle for that day. We battle, but a lot of the times, we give each other things to help each other during the year. So but hats off to those guys, man. I'm just it was a battle for us, and it's been a lot of CIAA games. It's been battles, and I expect that throughout the year for everybody.
Now, we talked last week, R.J. Rosales, who got injured at Hampton. We wasn't 100% sure if he was going to play for you on Saturday. It appeared that he didn't. Mark Wright actually got the start. Looked good for you. When did you have to make the final decision that R.J. was either a no-go or we were going to kind of see how he was going to progress and gave the ball to Mark Wright?
It was a thing to try to see how he progressed. That was the first and foremost thing. But it was a game time decision. But it's a good feeling when you got another guy who can get it done. So we felt good about Mark going into it. He took a lot of reps during the week, and he went in and he played awesome, I thought.
Mm-hmm. I was going to ask, how do you think he did? But as you kind of mentioned that, he threw for 100. Let me look at the numbers: 13 to 19, 140 yards, couple of sacks, didn't turn the ball over, which was good. But it was something. Maybe John C. Smith maybe has a couple more athletes than they did in years past. But what did they do defensively that slowed you down? Because it seemed like you guys really couldn't find a rhythm offensively in that game against the Golden Bulls.
I think they did a heck of a job on us against the run. They did that. On us, and it was kind of a battle. Our defense is pretty good against the run. Their defense is pretty good against the run. So I think they were able to kind of handle us on the run. So that was one thing that was kind of that you looked at that was kind of a little different than some of our games we've played this year. But in terms of the game plan and kind of following through with what we wanted to do, I think that was one of the main things. That was a little hampered. We didn't do as well on third downs on offense either. That something that when you go back and look at the game that we have to do better at on both sides of the ball. But there was some things that did happen pretty good. Some plays were made on both sides of the ball, and at the end you just want to come down and give yourself a chance to win. No matter how things are going, no matter what the numbers might say, at the end you want to give yourself a chance to win. And I think at the end of the game we gave ourselves a chance to win.
Couple of season lows for Union offensively. They only had 180 yards of total offense. You mentioned the rushing attack. Jada Byers, the CIAA's leading rusher, held to just 47 yards in the game. He did have 2 more touchdowns, so he's now 8 away from tying Andre Braxton's career rushing touchdown record of just 47 yards for the leading CIAA rusher this season.
Yeah, like I said, them guys did a good job over there and just holding us. And we didn't have a lot of offensive plays. Some drives were a little shorter. We were able to capitalize on some things when we got to the red zone and make some things happen that way. But we weren't able to convert and extend drives, and that's something that we generally do, and that didn't happen. So not just kind of focusing on what Jada might have did or he might have didn't do. We just didn't extend drives as a unit. So just got to get better at that going forward.
It's been a while when somebody, I guess, has held the ball as long as Johnson C. Smith had it against your defense, over 37 minutes. They were 10 of 17, I believe, on third down conversions. Oh, I'm sorry, they had 21 first downs in the game. We talked about the third quarter drive. 19 plays. They went the length of the field, took almost 9 minutes off the clock, and really the killer was the 3rd and 32 play that you got called for roughing the passer that extended the drive and eventually scored. Talk about that. What did you see? What was the officials' call on the roughing the passer penalty?
It was a legit call. I think So when that happened, it just kind of knocked us out of sorts a little bit because we had, pushed them behind the chains pretty far, and then to kind of get automatic first down. And we had one penalty the whole night, and that was our only penalty, and, guy just being aggressive, trying to make a play. And that's just kind of what happened, but it extended the drive, the penalties that they had on the drive, we thought we were taking advantage of, but they get the one big one, and it really kind of extended the drive and that put them up. But we were still in catch up mode. So, it was a killer because it was the only one we had. I can't really say,
That's crazy.
we had a bunch of penalties all night, or the guys play, mistake filled football. That was probably one of the only, penalized mistakes that we made. We did a bunch of other things that wasn't necessarily right, but that was the only penalty that we got thrown on us that we felt like, what, that was something that they capitalized off of.
Did you get a sense that maybe that penalty kind of knocked the wind out of your team's sails? Because, 3rd and 32, you think you're going to get off the field, you can turn the momentum around, then you get a personal foul penalty, gives them an automatic first down, continues to drive, they eventually score. Seemed like that was the deciding touchdown in that game because I think it made it 21-9 at that point. Did you get a sense that it kind of knocked y'all for a little bit of a loop?
It didn't. I won't
Okay.
say that. Because one play won't make that much difference in the game. Not one play, but a string of them will. But
Right.
that one play, we're not going to say that because there was a bunch of things that we could have did throughout the game that could have made a difference. And like I said, you go back and you look at the film and you see all of that. And you work to get better at it. I think we still got a heck of a ball club, and our guys play tough, and our guys still play physical, and our guys still do a lot of things well. But you want to look at some of those things that you're not doing well at certain times in the game to make sure you get better at. So you know what, you won't be in this situation again.
I mentioned to you, I think we talked about this after the Hampton game, was a lot of the mistakes you guys made correctable. You said, yes, looking back at the film with this one, still the same thing. These are correctable mistakes that
Absolutely.
should be erased moving forward.
Absolutely. You want to make sure that you do that, and I think we got the coaching staff to do it. And we got the team that's willing to, be coached, so you see that a lot. A lot of what we've kind of did, we started right after we got back from Charlotte, so, because again, you see the things you got to work on, and no, putting it any other way. I thought, the last two teams we lost to were two good ball clubs. So, we got to put ourselves in position to show everybody how good of a ball club we are.
If there is a silver lining, it's the fact that it was not a conference game. It's still 0-0 in the CIAA, and that the season starts for you guys. The new season starts for you guys on Saturday. You got 8 games to get back to where you want to be, and that's a conference championship against Shaw.
Yep. I mean, it's a 7-game conference schedule for
7, I'm
everybody
sorry.
that's kind of been put in place now, for this year with St. Aug dropping. So, everybody will have 7 conference games, so all 7 will technically be these last 7, kind of going down. So, but I want to win them all, so it's always tough, and we've done a good job since I've been here of making sure, we play well on the road, that we just play well, period. So you want to make sure that you're keeping some of the things that you kind of laid the foundation for in place, and our kids know that, and they know the challenge in front of them, and they're ready for it.
And with no divisional play, the 2 teams with the best record in the conference will play in the championship game in November in Salem. Virginia Union, remember, won the championship a year ago, looking to defend the championship, and it starts on Saturday when they play Shaw University. We'll talk about that in our 3rd segment. But coming up next, we got a Hall of Fame coach, a guy that Coach Parker knows very, very well, and you know him as well also. We'll have him in studio when we come back on the Alvin Parker Coaches Show.
In every athlete, there's a spark, a drive. At Virginia Union University, we turn that spark into a flame. Here, it's more than athletics. It's a journey of dedication, discipline, and determination, where Panthers chase and catch their dreams. With dedicated coaches, a legacy of champions, VUU is where potential meets opportunity. Ready to transform passion into purpose, to elevate your game in life? It's time. Join us at Virginia Union University, where champions are made on and off the field. Your future starts now. Visit vuu.edu to learn more. Virginia Union University. Ignite your potential.
We're back here on the Alvin Parker Coaches Show. We have a very, very special guest with us right here in our second segment. It's the Hall of Fame coach here at Virginia Union. Also spent some time at St. Paul's, and Saturday's game against Shaw University is named in his honor, the Willard Bailey Classic. And without further ado, I want to introduce former head coach here at Virginia Union and Hall of Famer, Coach Willard Bailey. Thank you, Coach, for joining us here on the Alvin Parker Coaches Show.
Thanks so much for having me here. I'm always happy to come back to these hallowed grounds and the old walls.
You spent a lot of time here as a head
question
coach
about that.
at Virginia Union. Before we talk about the game Saturday in your honor, I want to get some thoughts from you about what it was like to coach Alvin Parker, the player.
Oh, Alvin was one of those dream players of coach because, first of all, he ain't making mistakes. And I had him in two positions. I had him as a fullback blocking for Andre Blackson. And then I could give the drummer some, Alvin, and allow him to carry the ball. But I couldn't trust too many players with giving them a dual assignment because they would mess it up.
And he was not one of those guys.
Alvin never made a mistake. I'm telling you, he took thinking seriously, not just in the library, but on the football field where it was more important to me.
When you coached him, did you think he had the makings of being a really good head coach?
Yeah, because like I said, anytime you take your assignment seriously, you understand not just your assignment, but you understand the assignments of your teammates, which makes, if you know a trap is coming, you're not going to treat it like a zone, inside zone. And I had other players, Porter, for example. Porter never made mistakes. You always remember those players that never made mistakes because they help you win games.
Absolutely.
They don't get penalties.
That's true.
They play by the rules. Okay? But he was a jewel to coach. And then that's why when he finished playing for me, 4 years, I allowed him to be an assistant coach for 3 years. Then Alvin went down to Elizabeth City and a few other places. But we jumped at the opportunity to bring him back to his home grounds of Virginia Union.
And he is doing very well coming back home.
He did very well. And Alvin will be one of the coaches to wear this ring one day.
That Black College Hall of Fame ring. Okay.
Just keep supporting him, keep working with him, the faculty, staff. It was easy for me to coach at Virginia Union because it was easier to recruit for Virginia Union.
How so?
Because everybody knew about Virginia Union. We've been around since 1865, you see. And during those times, Union was one of the original CIAA teams. We weren't also ran, Union was right there with a few other schools to start the CIAA. And having that type of background, the word spreads around everywhere east of Atlanta. People know about Virginia Union. Then we have a school here on this campus called the Sam DeWitt Proctor School of Religion. School of Religion. Every town I went into to do serious recruiting, like Washington, D.C., South Carolina, they knew about Virginia Union, if not by anything else, is School of Theology. All of the programs when I came to Virginia Union was well cemented and a great foundation. We didn't have a lot of money. We sometimes, when I went out to recruit, I had to use the city of Richmond as a home base. Like some people brag about their campus and all. We couldn't brag a lot about the campus because we had a lot of shortcomings. But we could brag on the city of Richmond. And the city of Richmond helped us recruit a lot of great kids. It was easy to recruit for Virginia. It will always be.
You had a lot of great talent when you coached back in the day.
No question.
Absolutely. You mentioned about, bragging about the city of Richmond. The university has bragged about you as a former head coach here at Virginia Union because they named a football game, a home game in your honor. The Willard Bailey Classic is this Saturday against Shaw University. What does that mean to you to be honored in that way?
It means so very much because as you give me credit for putting great programs together here, I have to go back and give the credit, share the credit with those that have always allowed us to recruit great players. They knew they would be coming to a college that had administrative support. It means a lot to me because I had great assistant coaches.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had great assistant coaches. Jesse Chavis, nobody could score on us. Whether we were at North Dakota State playing them,
Mm-hmm.
we actually won the game, but they ended up, officials made a mistake and they had to credit them with the game. That was our chance to win a national championship in football. Jesse Chavis, defensive coordinator that I hired, the first coach I hired was defensive coordinator. Jesse's defense was the reason Joe Taylor decided to join me and my staff. He was offered several jobs,
Mm-hmm.
but he decided to come here because nobody could score on us. If you scored 10 points, you were a great team. We played Tennessee State, and they couldn't score but 7 at their home. They came up here, they couldn't score but 6. Good football team.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe Taylor came here, and what Chavis was doing on offense, Joe Taylor started doing, what Chavis was doing on defense.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Taylor did the same thing on offense. I told everybody we had won 4 championships in 5 years. But when I brought Joe Taylor here, we improved tremendously. So what I'm saying is great coaches, super great players. God has been good to me. I think of my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ when I think of a game being named in my honor because I think of all these great coaches. Waverly Tiller was one of my great coaches, okay? And a great player.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm saying is I have been blessed.
Absolutely.
I received a award at Virginia State last year for some achievement that I made with this same for people over here. And I had to give my thanks to God Almighty. He's blessed me with so many great kids.
And I know that.
Blessed me with so Dr. A.B. James gave me my first job. And you know what? In all the years that I coached here under his leadership, he never said no to me. I never had that. Very few people can say that. The president of the college, I had about 5 requests from him every week. He never said no. He did say, let me think on it. And he did say, let me think on it a little bit more. But when he came in, he said, we can't do it.
Absolutely.
He was right.
Well, Coach, I definitely appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us this week, and we will see you Saturday over at Hovey for your Willard Bailey Classic with Union.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm planning to meet several of my former players and former coaches.
All right.
And I plan to enjoy the game with my family.
Absolutely.
Have my family come.
Absolutely.
So take care.
Thanks, Coach. One more segment to go. We'll have Coach Parker back in for our final segment of the Alvin Parker Coaches Show right after this.
In this space, we explore, we ascend, we conquer, we innovate, we unite, we thrive. Virginia Union University, where every journey matters.
All right, we're back for our final segment here on the Alvin Parker Coaches Show. Again, a big thanks to head coach Willard Bailey, who you will see Saturday at Hovey as Virginia Union takes on Shaw University in the Willard Bailey Classic. And it's going to be a big game because it is the conference opener and the home opener for the Panthers. We can say that now. First time since like last November when you played state, you get a home game. But before we talk about Shaw specifically, I want to get your thoughts on what Coach Bailey said about you specifically as the player. When you heard what he said, what was going through your mind?
It made me feel good. Coach is still coach to me. And I talked to him on the way down to Charlotte. He just was on my mind. I called him, just to kind of talk to him because he'll just pop his head in every now and again, and he still kind of get those chunks and those words of wisdom, and a lot of things that he said to me when I was a player, I still use it on my players. And I adopted some of the things that he did as our head coach back in the day, and I still do those with my team. So some of those things that just, don't get old or that build good team camaraderie. I still do a lot of those things. So I'm glad he said those things about me, and I because when I tell my players, sometimes they don't believe me, so it's kind of
man can back it up.
So it's definitely kind of good to hear coach say those things. And I'm definitely one of those people that feel like, you need your flowers while you're here, and coach has definitely earned it. I'm glad to be a part of a lot of those wins as a player, and then had the opportunity to be a lot of those wins as a coach as well.
He started your coaching career.
Got me started right off, and gave me a lot of responsibility and just trusted in me, just like he trusted me as a player. And I look up, I'm 24 years old calling plays on a college level because coach gave me the opportunity. And that kind of started my career. Just being, with somebody that trusts me. So, I try to pay it forward too.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
A lot of the guys that have played for me, I try to get them opportunity as well because coach did the same for me.
Special man, a true living legend in the CIAA and all of coaching here in the state of Virginia. So now we're going to talk about the game, the Willard Bailey Classic, Shaw University against Virginia Union. Two of the top offenses in all of the CIAA going against each other. You look at the number one scoring offense. That's your guys. Shaw is number two. Total offense. Shaw is second. Union is third. Rushing offense. Two of the best. Really 5/10 of a yard. Shaw's one. Union two. And two of the top running backs we'll see in the CIAA. So we talk about all the offensive numbers, but I bet you it's going to come down to some defense.
It always does. It always does. Shaw has been traditionally good on defense, every year. So, I definitely is going to come down to some form of a defensive play, and their offense is lighting it up. Coach Jones is doing a great job, and, we knew in the offseason, how good of a job he did in recruiting. When you kind of see them out there, doing a lot of good things and all that, we knew they were going to be a good team. I knew they were going to be a solid team. So they put it together. They're a couple of points away from being 4-0. So that speaks a lot to what type of team they have. You got explosive players everywhere. Some guys that can make some plays out there. Receiver, a heck of a back, like you mentioned, a quarterback who gets it done. And a bunch of big guys that can move you on offense and defensive side of the ball. So Coach Jones, like I said, him and his staff have done a great job, and we're looking forward to those guys getting up here Saturday and competing.
Well, what makes Trevon Hester? That's the running back. He's fourth in the conference in yards per game, just under 100. What does he do special that kind of gives D coordinators some fits?
From that aspect, more the players fits, because he can run you over, he can run by you, he's quick, shifty, can do a lot of things in the pass game and the run game. So he's one of those guys that you definitely have to account for. Again, this year you look up at so many good, solid guys in this league that can get it done. It's been like that in years past, but I just think maybe it's just a few more this year, But he's one of those guys that can get it done.
And you mentioned the receiving core. 3 of the top 10 receivers as far as yardage per game come from Shaw University. 4th, 9th, and 10th. We got Belcher, Wingate, and Barnes. Is it something they kind of like? Is it scheme wise what makes them so effective? They spread you out? Are they? I hadn't had a chance to see them on film, but how do they get to be effective offensively when you got those many weapons, good running back, 3 good receivers on one team?
They go get the ball, and as a receiver, that's kind of what you want, so those guys make plays on the ball. They do, quarterback puts it in play to them guys, and those guys make plays on it. So, that's one thing that you can see about those guys that are extremely good, and, you just look around and just see, a bunch of good athletes everywhere for those guys, offensively and defensively. So, that's going to make it a challenge for us on Saturday.
Well, when you look on the opposite side, you talk about Shaw University's defense going up against Union's offense. What has to change for you guys to get back on track? We mentioned the numbers against Johnson C. Smith, season low in total yardage. And a big part of that was because you didn't have the ball a lot. Does it have to start with the O-line, the 4 guys we had last week, to kind of set the tone early to get Jada going?
I think just got to play Union football, all the way around. When you look back and you look at the few losses that we've had, maybe the last couple of years, you look and you see, it hasn't been many. When you look back and see those, you'll say, you know what, it was a lot of things that said we wasn't playing Union football, and that kind of gave us a loss. So I think everybody has to play to a higher level. These guys are playing good, but I tell them, you don't get a chance to not be great. I think we put our program to where it needs to be, where you don't get a chance to have a playoff, definitely not a weekend off. So you have to play great every day. You have to play great all the time. You have to play great in practice. You have to play great in games, especially, so you don't get in the position where, you're putting things in the loss column and not the win column. And those guys understand that. They've accepted the responsibility, and they accepted the challenge as well. And they know we have to do these last 7 games if they want to get back to where we were.
We talked about that during your media availability this week, the fact that for a lot of these guys, they haven't dealt with this type of adversity, this first 2-game losing streak in 3 years for you guys. It's always been maybe a bump here, you rebound, 4 or 5 game winning streak, but now they're dealing with a little bit of adversity. How have you seen them in practice as far as, kind of pushing that to the side? Yes, we've got the losing streak, but it's time to now worry about the new season, the new, the second season for CIAA play.
We spoke about this last week, kind of, and those guys understand just the accountability portion. And the same thing with everybody that's in the program, not just the players, coaches, everybody. Everybody has a job to do. And we talk about play for 11, when you take inventory on that, it's about doing your job. That's one of the meanings of play for 11, doing your job, doing your part. You got to take inventory as an entire program to make sure you're doing your part. And when you get wins, it's easy to say I'm doing my part, but you need to make sure you take the accountability and the responsibility when we don't get the wins. And I think everybody in our program understands that. They follow my leadership, and now it says that we got to buckle up and get ready to go. And I think all of those guys understand that, and everybody's ready.
Well, again, it's Saturday, 1:00 kickoff. Virginia Union and Shaw University. It's the first home game for the Panthers. It's the Willard Bailey Classic against the Bears, and it is the conference opener for Shaw University. So come out to Hovey. It's supposed to be great weather, no rain, knock on wood, over at Hovey for Virginia Union and Shaw University. Big thanks to Coach Willard Bailey for joining us this week. As always, to Coach Parker, good luck to you Saturday, and we'll talk to you next week on another edition of the Alvin Parker Coaches Show.
Absolutely.
All right, I'm Sean Robertson. Thanks so much for joining us on the many Virginia Union platforms on social media, and we will talk to you next Thursday. And I got a quick happy birthday. He may not be, he's going to watch. My son's birthday, 5 years old this week, so I want to wish Tucker a happy birthday. Hopefully the Panthers will get a win in his honor, and we'll talk to you next week on the Alvin Parker Coaches Show.